Welcome back to Bits and Boards. I'm Anthony Krolikowski, and today we have two guests on. Talk a little bit more about playing games and networking, and not just finding people, but having fun and finding people for networking reasons, right? Sometimes it's just that simple. So today I am joined by our two guests, Gina Torres and Allison Byer. Now, just tell me a little bit about first this event that's coming up, and that, like I said, quick little blurb about it.
Yeah, so Gamer Girl is really the culmination of very different businesses in the capital region, all with the same goal. So we are partnering with 518 Game Changers, video, gaming, and esports education, and Allison Byer over here from Byer Creative. And we're creating a new way to network. So this is an event that is open to all of the women, all of the girls in the capital region. And it's meant to give them a safe space to learn about gaming, about esports, about the different technical career paths that there are, and hear from people who are in the industry and who are actually living each and every day, being leaders, being C-suite executives, being business owners. So this is an event that's on November 15th from 5:30 to 7:30 over at VDO, and it's open, it's free, and so, feel free to stop by, and yeah.
It's that simple. And if for anyone who's looking at their screen right now or your TV, that flyer is right there for you with the location, which is the esports arena we've covered more than a few times for their events and everything like that. And Allison, you were telling me earlier that you actually met Gina at one of these events that you attended. Tell me about why you decided to attend and how that went from there.
Yeah, so I'm always looking for new networking events to join in on. It's something I've gotten really into in the past year, and prior to that, I was just behind my computer editing video, really. But I am also somebody who has, actually became more of a gamer like later in life. And I hopped on Facebook and I saw this event and I was like, oh, I'm so in. It said networking, it said Gamer Girl. I'm like, that's awesome. Like, I've never met really people like me. But it's so much more than that. It's also for girls who can see themselves as many things in the future. But yeah, this event actually brought Gina and myself together. I reached out to her to say, hey, like, this is awesome. I want to be a part of this. So I can't wait to be there as a representative of my company and as somebody who just wants to show up, meet people, and have fun.
Stepping back a little bit, when it comes to the word networking, is this on a professional level with companies? Is this on a more casual level with just people in the community? Is it a bridge of all that?
It's certainly a bridge of all that. I think that when we were talking, and I've had conversations with many business owners in the area or just professionals in general, and I think a lot of the old networking ways are stale and they have to really be able to bring people out of the house. So we tried to create something that was a different spin on networking, and it's meant for anybody. So if you are a business owner, if you are a professional, if you're looking for a career path, we'll have women and girls there from, I think there's an age 6 all the way up to like their late 50s and 60s. So it doesn't matter what age, it's really open to everybody to have some fun. We'll have some tournaments and some gaming things. We'll have board games, and then there will be a networking component.
I know 6-year-olds aren't going to the bar, but I'm just thinking, like, what do people do to network, right? You go out, and if I know for me, it's not my scene going out to the bar for sure.
Mine either.
So, it's nice to see something like this as somebody who's introverted when the news isn't rolling and the cameras aren't going. I'm just home in bed playing games, and this kind of a peaceful place, and it seems like you can really get people out of their comfort zone, right, with something like this. But more about just the two of you, and not just the event itself, but taking your hobby here, and just tell me a little bit about what you like about games and why you think that's important to share with people.
Well, I think especially the way that our the technical aspect of everything is going right now, I think that games can teach a lot about strategy. They can teach a lot about technology. And they can also, as Allison's story kind of goes, with the storyline. Like, she is a creative at heart, and she's learned a lot from the storyline in the games and kind of creating. And if we're not exposing people to that at all ages, right, that they could be losing out on some of that creative element that they have, whether it's in the tech industry, whether it is being a creative, whether it's art. And so, gaming for me is really about learning about the strategy and learning about what is fun and dreaming and being a visionary. And a lot of these games, you can build whatever you want and you're living in a virtual reality. And so we're kind of bringing that in a space where you can physically connect with people and not just, on screen, but create and connect in person.
When I think of strategy, I think of strategy RPGs or role-playing games. And
Fair.
I'm a big Fire Emblem person, and I've played a tiny bit of like Final Fantasy Tactics. But, those are your single-player experiences. But that doesn't mean that, obviously, a game that doesn't have strategy listed as its genre doesn't mean that it doesn't include that critical thinking or the communication skills. So just give me some examples of, the games that either the two of you play or are going to be offered here and just how that is fleshed out.
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned that. I was thinking about this. So, I'm excited that there are esports lounges that are popping up, not because I play games competitively, but for me, I've always been interested in the open world exploration adventure games like Fallout, Red Dead Redemption 2. And because I started playing after I turned 30, I had to kind of catch up with games like Dishonored and BioShock that I really love for just the immersion into these worlds and time periods. So you end up kind of learning about different things in history, that you have to cross check with what the reality was, but it exposes you to so many things. And for me, it's that creative immersion. As a storyteller, there's actually a lot of times where I'll see a game, I'll play a game, and I'll be like, oh, I love that transition, or I love the way they did that POV, and I kind of can relate it back to what we do as a video company. Sometimes it's oh, how can we do a similar transition of that? So there's a lot of levels that I really enjoy it, but again, competitively, I don't play. For me, it's a solo activity that I really lean into for comfort and enjoyment, and just getting into a more creative side of my brain. But we'll also sometimes play one-on-one with a friend.
Now, obviously, the two of you can probably talk about your favorite game or your hobbies on and on and on and on. I think that just comes with the category, right? With me, it's spouting out random facts about Pokemon and reading them and getting this stat and this stat to work out, right? Yep. So it's just how has that come to be in these spaces that you had so far? First, just how many meetups have you had already? And what ways in which, maybe give us examples of games that you've been able to play here, and this is how people have been able to mesh and really bridge the gap between just seeing somebody and making it past the acquaintance mark.
Well, so this is actually going to be our first launch of this movement, we're calling it. Again, it's more than a networking event. It's more than just kind of a meetup. It's really a movement. So we're planning to have these events quarterly and build, from literally next week is our ground up building launch. So when we talk about even the things that are happening there, that you asked, what's going to be happening at the event. We have 3 different tournaments that are also going to be going on in Super Mario Brothers, Mario Kart, and then also a Minecraft tournament that's building the Gamer Girl logo. So, we have all of these different, you can be entry level, you can be advanced, and part of the, game is mixing those two audiences so that they can collaborate and learn from one another, right? So someone who's older might not understand Minecraft, but maybe someone who's in college who's really great at building is going to help build the logo, and they'll learn a new skill. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick just to kind of make sure I mentioned that, but that's some of the exciting things that you can expect at the launch of this event next week.
And if you two haven't had this experience, that's okay, but have you been to any in-person events, gaming related, and even if not, you can talk about non-gaming related, but, being women in these environments, how that's been either, it's been a simple, easy time, which I'm sure you're not going to tell me, but, or, just the toughness of, going into a gaming space or not gaming space and trying to make friends. I know gaming, before I was on air reporting, I went to a Smash Bros tournament once, and, I am most 9 out of 10 the target demographic for somebody who maybe go to a tournament like that. But I have hard times going to those Smash Bros tournaments or even the Pokemon card game tournaments and making friends and just trying to build connections. It seems very much like the competitive nature of it, and people are just there to win. And they're also just levels above me that I don't really have. But how has that experience been, either in the gaming world or the workplace world for you, networking?
Yeah,
for it.
I can chat about that a little bit. So I think what is so exciting is that I haven't been to something like this before. I wouldn't typically think of going to an esports lounge myself because I just never thought of it as an option, honestly. I'm a mother, I own a business, I'm very busy, and I do squeeze gaming into like that 9 to 9:30 slot a couple times a week. But I haven't been to something like this, and that's like so awesome because this is just showing the evolution of what's possible in being able to get people together of all different ages, all different backgrounds to kind of like introduce each other to new ways of being and exploring what we love. So I really can't wait to be there as a representative and as somebody who, like, if I get a chance to put my hands on a new game for the first time, like I'm excited about that as well.
Yeah, and I haven't had any experience in going to these. The only experience that I've had is actually attending some classes with, kind of the technical side, but I haven't even really been exposed to any sort of event. So this is kind of just something that we're creating, and clearly there's been a need because tickets have been flying, and people are like, "Oh my God, I love what you're doing." So I'm really excited to kind of see how all of these worlds really collide, and everybody brings their own zone of genius and their own creative path, and creating this just new spin on the networking component.
And another thing that just wanted to touch on when it comes to the games themselves, you mentioned a couple of them. And would you say Mario Bros or Super Smash Bros?
Super Smash
That-
Bros.
I-
I'm sorry.
I was wondering. No, you're okay. You're okay.
Super
I was
Smash
just
Bros,
like-
Mario Kart, and Minecraft. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're totally fine.
Knew the
They're
space.
very, very similar in name. It has Mario in there, so you're not that too far out.
Yes.
It's all good. When it comes to this starting three lineup, right? Why did you choose them for your demographic here, which is women from a variety of ranges? I know, from playing these games myself, you can very casual level to the very competitive level. So I'm sure that's some of what you're going to tell me here. But why these three? Are there also, I know 2 out of 3 can be played on a Switch, which is a console.
Yep.
So how did this come to be with this list?
Honestly, my partners over at Video helped me out with this because they are the experts in this field, and they were like, here are some entry level all the way up to kind of some things that we can really get creative and a little bit competitive in the tournament space. So it's and you think about the Super Mario or Smash
Super
Bros.
Smash Bros.
And,
It's okay, yeah,
Super
it's-
Smash
it's a
Bros. And
mouthful.
Mario Kart.
Yes.
You can play that with family, you can play that with friends. So even if you are going out and doing something, there's a chance that some of these women have played that with family and friends, maybe, going over to someone's house or going to, and kind of taking that element of it's something fun, it's something friendly, it's something that I can know that I can hop in on. If you get too complicated, then people are going to be like, I don't know how to do any of it, but both of those games are pretty easy in the fact of like there's a couple buttons, you know what to do, you kind of can get it quickly. So it's meant to be easy and it's meant to be fun. And then the Minecraft is meant to be more challenging, and then also building on some of the skills that the younger generation can teach some of the older generation.
When we come back, I'm going to ask you a little bit more about specifically the event itself and how it's going to work with finding out how to attend and the list that you have and your participants. But in the meantime, go to that quick break, so stay tuned.
Perfect.
And we are back. Now, this is an event that is coming up pretty soon, and we're going to pull up that flyer here in a second because last minute I can look really quick. No, it's too blurry. I can't tell you when the date is till we pull it up on the screen. But it is pretty soon. We're hoping to have this episode out right before the event comes, so you'll be able to attend and get a little bit more information. But for the two of you, just tell me how many people have you had already, maybe how many seats are left at this time, and where that leaves you.
Yeah, so right now, so the cap on this event, just because we do have a cap, is 50 tickets. And we have about probably 15 total that are left. We had half that was kind of flying off the shelves the second week that we promoted it. So about 15 right now. So I would definitely encourage people, if you want to attend to grab a ticket.
Here's the flyer right here. November 15th is that date. I know you've mentioned it a few times, but there's a lot of information right now. I'm hitting you with a lot of questions, which you've been great, so thank you for that. Stepping back, though, a little bit about the two of you, just tell me about the first time you came in contact with the game, whether that be it was something just gifted to you or you saw somebody else do it, and initial reactions and how that evolved.
My first game was actually on the Game Boy, and I used to play That's So Raven.
Oh, I forgot about the Game Boy. Yeah.
And I loved all the Game Boy games. I mean, I had tons of them, and I just, like, anything that I used to watch on TV, it was really Disney Channel for me. I got the games, and then I would play the games. So, again, kind of going back to that storyline and relating to the characters and kind of having this strategy that you had to go along with to finish the game was something that I'm interested in. And then today, I like playing Call of Duty Zombies, but that's just how I've evolved from a Game Boy.
That's very fair. My boyfriend, who's a very casual gamer, once he got his gaming PC, went to Valorant. I was very shocked, and he's pretty good. Once again, he's not very competitive, so shocked is the big word here. I'm going to use it again and again and again, but he does well, and he was Mr. Minecraft and that sort of a genre. So, but it's that evolution, I guess you can say. You just want to. Gaming makes you want to take out the gun and have fun with your friends in that environment. Well, as bad as that sounds out of context, right?
No,
I'm going to get clipped later.
You're 100% right. And a little bit of my background, I won't go too much into it, but I was actually a police officer for the city of Albany. And when I stopped doing that, that's kind of when I went into this gaming. And I really liked the strategy element where you're kind of fighting zombies, and that just was something that really resonated with me as far as like the teammate aspect. And you're trying to find you go around the map and you're creating strategies and things like that. So that was always something that really resonated with me.
We had an esports coach, I think it was the last episode I did, and he was telling me that he had served in some branch of the military, and when he came out, and now he wants his students to play Call of Duty and stuff like that. And of course they branch off and it's Fortnite or whatever else they may be interested in, but I heard something similar from him, so it's nice to hear that this is something that you're familiar with, and you have a creative outlet to go out and enjoy it, and you're not, obviously it's a job and you did it, but this is a safer way to experience all that stuff and still get out that outlet that you have and not everybody who's a police officer. Yeah, exactly right. Not everybody who's a police officer is going to be playing games, and tons of people who may play GTA or any other random shooting game, they aren't going out and being police officers, and because it's obviously very serious. In the pretend world, it's a way to experience something similar but drastically different when it comes to the danger that you're putting yourself in. And it's a game. It's not real life. Real life is not as fun as it sounds. It's very scary sometimes.
No, but a lot of these games are cool because you can kind of test out some of the career paths and, do the calls over the radio and talk to people like you're talking over a radio and things like that. So I think even that element is really cool.
Yeah.
And then for you, Allison, go ahead. What was your first introduction?
Oh, my first introduction. I have a brother who's 9 years older than me, so I remember this because of like old VHS, old movies, but he was playing like Castlevania when it came out on the original Nintendo. And I was like, Mom, we're playing Castlevania, and my like remote or my controller, wasn't hooked up or whatever. But it kind of evolved. So like in college, I would play Guitar Hero as like an outlet for stress. And the first game I like kind of chose to buy that was, more like the kinds of games we're talking about was Vice City. And I would like ride around the map and really like choose not to hurt people, but I just loved like the environment. So that says a lot about like why I'm still drawn to gaming is just like the environment, the immersion of like exploring. And I'm like really into looting. So any game that has a lot of looting, I don't care what it is, I'm like, I love it.
And you didn't become a police officer.
I did not.
I saved myself. Yes. I like to dig holes. So.
Do we have time for me to tell how I came back to gaming as an adult?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm gonna put the camera just on you for this. Hold on.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
My husband and I got married 11 years ago. He was always a gamer. He played different, some competitive, a lot of story driven, where he'd talk about the games with his friends and his brothers. And I started kind of like sitting near him while he was playing. And I remember when The Witcher was coming out in 2015, I believe, The Wild Hunt. I don't remember if it was 3. I think The Witcher 3. He's like, oh, like, well, check out the cinematic trailer. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. And then he started playing it, and I found myself like, oh, I love music. Just started like watching him play it. And then by the time he was done, I was so obsessed with it, like I had to play it for myself. So that was where I started actually doing it, where I was like, oh, I want to manipulate the controls. I want to explore the world. So that's how I kind of got into it as an adult, which I kind of equate back to being open-minded. I think there's a lot of stigma around gaming as being something that's immature or lazy. You could be doing something better, something different with your time. But I loved and supported that he was interested in gaming, and it kind of opened my mind to it in a way that I ended up taking it on as an individual, which probably doesn't happen a whole lot, but I love to kind of be outside the box, so to speak. And I love this whole event because it just gives opportunity for more people to be like, hey, maybe I'll be out of the box. Maybe I want to try something different too.
Yeah.
So that's
and
what
I have
I'm
a cool story. It's really, really quick too.
Go for it. We have about 4 minutes or so, but go ahead. Go ahead.
So just to piggyback off of what Allison said, my boyfriend actually has been playing games with his game group, and he never met them over 15 years. 3 months ago, they met for the first time over 15 years in person, and it was like they knew each other the whole life. So when we talk about like the social element and like the impact that gaming can really have, it goes very deep. And now bringing that into a place where people can meet in person and have those connections in person is like, I'm so excited for it. So there is so much to this event. I'm so excited for it. And gaming, it does get a bad rep, but it also teaches a lot. So I'm just excited for what's to come.
I do want to give you time to plug your event and a little bit about your companies, but first, I do have one more question for you, depending on timing and everything. But being somebody who I like a variety of things, you know, whether it be girly or manly, it doesn't matter. I have a variety of games or topics that I've enjoyed. And as a kid, I've played on the DS and Game Boy and whatever else, games that are stereotypically seen as girly or made towards a female audience, whether it be the Littlest Pet Shops games where it's just a bunch of mini games, or like Super Princess Peach where like your powers are your emotions, which I know maybe people in the last few years have been like, well, how dare they do something like that? But, you know, as a kid and even now, it's like, you know, it's a fun game and it's just showing her powers in a different way. But without going off on a tangent too much there, this seems like games, especially back then in the early 2000s, and probably before my time, was very much so like, you're a boy, you're going to play these harder games, and then you're a girl, you're going to play these dress-up games and these mini-game collections. And like when you talked about the Disney games, I was thinking about as a kid playing like the Wreck-It Ralph game or other like random Disney games, even before that on the DS, and just the quality wasn't really there, and it was just not the greatest. So what has your experience been with, you know, these more girly games? Did you have experience with those, and what did you think about them?
I think I guess in my opinion now, as I see it, and in seeing kind of a lot of the things that we were introduced to, especially growing up, like having, you know, you can only have Barbies. I used to love Matchbox cars, and I used to line up 50 Matchbox cars and pretend, you know, we were all going home from in traffic, sitting on the throughway, like, you know. So I had, you know, I was able to dabble in, you know, both of those, but I did have this feminine side where I was like, I do like Barbies, but I have, you know, masculine energy too, and we all have it. And I think that a lot of the games certainly were, growing up, kind of positioned in a way with what people thought that men and women had to kind of, you know, be or present growing up. And I think that's changed a little bit in some of them. You know, and I think that that's part of the reason why we're doing this is representation and creating these safe spaces where they can learn and also create and be whatever they want to. And you can't do that without the exposure and actually meeting people who have gone through. And, you know, even in the tech industry, I mean, growing up, there was not a lot of people or not a lot of women who were coding and doing programming. Now that narrative is starting to flip a bit. And so, you know, again, just kind of going back to this and the games, I'm hoping and I'm thinking that is what the narrative is trying to be now, and just knowing that we have both energies and we can express and create in the ways that we feel called to do, and in a way that feels safe and valuable to us.
Allison, you would like to add to that, you're more than welcome to. But
I would.
Yeah, go right ahead.
So I didn't play any of the girly games, but
Really?
but what I think is really cool now, a lot of the games that they're really just very general audience, and that like as the character you can manipulate how you look. You
Oh, yeah.
have wardrobes, you can change the colors, and you can also go explore and be tough if you want.
Yeah.
So a lot of games now, especially the story-driven ones, contain all those elements that can make people just really explore their feelings and their emotions and identities and make choices. And I also found that particular games, I like Bethesda games. They do a lot of representation where women are leaders, and it's not a plot point that they're leaders. You see different genders, different races, in all different levels of the character structure. So I think that's really important too, and that has always like empowered me to be like, yeah, like cool. Yeah. Commander Smith is, a Black woman, and we're not talking about it. It's just a fact, and she's her character, and that's awesome.
I saw on TikTok, because I doom scroll a lot, there was a Black woman who came up, and she was talking about the new Pokemon game, which is Legends ZA, and she said, as a kid, you were just a boy, and there was no customization beyond that in the first game.
Yeah.
Then eventually it became, in the special version, which was Crystal at that time, okay, well, you have a girl character now, and you have that variety. And then it changed to skin tone, and then it changed to, there's a million clothing options. So it's just, it's evolved, and it's nice to see this variety and expression that is out there. And
Absolutely.
that's my little tidbit for today.
Yeah.
But before we go, because you were great, and I got to give you that chance to give the plug, anything about the event or the two of your, companies that you would like to share, it's open mic for you.
I'll just go back to saying about the event, because I'm really excited for what we're creating here. And again, it's a new way to network. It's the new way to network. And I know it's hard, especially in these winter months, to get outside of your house. So we're really creating a space where it's going to be worth it to come outside of your house and connect and feel like you have a space to learn, to network in a different capacity. And, to just see other women and other people who like the same things and look like you and who are successful in their spaces. So again, that event is November 15th from 5:30 to 7:30, and it is going to be at Video Gaming and Esports Education.
Right there on your screen.
over on 100 Broadway in Manans. And so you can visit 518gamechangers.com/gamergirl to RSVP to the event. Again, it is completely free. And I'm hoping that there's tickets by the time that this launches. But in the case there isn't, and you really, really, really want to go, you can shoot us a DM if you want to go to 518gamechangers.com, fill out that form, and then if you do have any questions, it'll lead to the email, and you can write me personally.
Yeah. Anything else we'd like to add?
So I own Buyer Creative. We're a video production company that creates commercials and web content for businesses and organizations. And I'll be tabling at the event. I'll be bringing some equipment that we use. Honestly, thanks to Gina, I never thought of myself as somebody who worked in the tech space. I always thought of it as more art, but it really is both. So I'll be representing our work and connecting with some people and showing them what we do.
Yeah. Well, once again, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. We had a lot of fun. I got to dig us some holes and bury them back a little bit. But once again, thank you. And we learned that playing video games is not a waste of time. You said it. Not me.
It's not.
That's
It's
right.
not.
Nope.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Bits and Boards. I'm Anthony Krolikowski, and stay tuned for the next one. We do once a week or something like that. So thank you, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.